The best leaders are storytellers, those who can engage and inspire their teams, paint the picture of purpose with a well-told personal story, are lauded as having that special something. So, whether you're already at the top of the totem pole or are working your way up, stories need to be a part of your leadership repertoire. However, what do? If you think you don't have any, that is a problem I can fix. I was at a networking reception recently and had found my way to a small table of wonderful women whose easy conversation made networking not so awful. I don't know, for whatever reason, as I've gotten older, I like networking less and less. So we were visiting and sharing stories, and I ended up telling about an epic business failure of mine a few years earlier. It's funny now, but it was not very funny then. I remember looking at my husband, who was trying to help me see the bright side of the day it happened, and I said to him, "This is the worst day of my professional career thus far. Tomorrow, I promise, I will look on the bright side. Right now, I reserve the right to be devastated, depressed, and feel like a total failure." We all laughed, right? Because we'd all been there in some form or another. And then one of the women looked at me, knowing I was a speaker, and she asked me if I ever tell that story on stage. I looked at her a little bewildered. No, I don't, actually. In fact, I'd kind of forgotten that story until it came up in that particular conversation. That would be a great story to tell, she said. Now, one of the big challenges when it comes to telling your own stories is you forget you have them. Just like I did. I mean, I can picture that moment, that conversation with my husband on the worst day of my professional career so clearly now. I remember we were downstairs in the kitchen when we realized no one was going to buy the thing I was trying to sell. I remember just needing to walk away and getting a few minutes to myself. I remember being halfway up the staircase when my husband called to me, trying to assure me it wasn't the end of the world, and me turning around and standing on the stair and holding the railing and stating my case, and then walking up the rest of the staircase to the bathroom, where I stood in front of the mirror and stared at my reflection, wondering who I even was. There it was, clear as day, that story, and totally relatable to anyone who has faced failure, and I had forgotten it completely. If you ever feel like you're in a story wasteland, that you don't have stories, let this be your reminder. You have them. They could be big or small. The problem isn't your lack of story, it's your inability to recall them. And I say this because if I, the storyteller, can forget my stories, it can happen to you too. So here are a few tips to help. First, uncover forgotten stories by doing some networking and talking to new people. Love it or hate it, talking to new people often leads you to telling new stories, which is exactly what happened to me. Networking is likely something you have to do anyway. The next time you're with a new group of people, see if their questions and conversation bring up stories you might have otherwise forgotten. Second, hang out with old friends and family, the people who know you from way back when. These cherished people are the keepers of stories about you, the stories you might have forgotten or didn't even know were happening at the time. I recently enjoyed an impromptu 4-hour dinner with my younger sister. The stories she had of me, and with the added intrigue of her perspective, it opened up a whole flood of stories I can tell to serve a variety of different leadership purposes. Finally, one last tip to help: record those stories. I know, I'm sorry, one more thing to add to your already full plate, but you can keep this act super simple. I use the notepad app on my phone. When a story scrap comes to me, a moment I'd forgotten, I quickly jot it down in the app, and that's it. You don't have to write the whole story right there, just a note. So the next time you want to use a story to be more compelling or relatable or engaging or climb that corporate ladder, and you're worried you don't have one, you can open up the app and have all the stories right there in front of you. Not only are stories valuable as you grow as a leader, it's a beautiful thing to uncover a story about yourself you might have forgotten.